चक्षुरुन्मिलितं तस्मै श्रीचैतन्यविष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजाता सागणा रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सागणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So we are reading chapter 18, text number 23. So the previous three verses, text number 20, 21, and 22, we were discussing knowledge in the three modes. So in the previous verses, knowledge in the mode of goodness is when one sees all the same type of soul in all bodies. So one does not see if one has, one does not see if one's black. Hare Krishna. So one does not see if one's black or white or one's this or that. One just sees the same type of soul. When one is in the mode of passion, one sees different types of souls and different persons. And when one is in knowledge in the mode of ignorance, is one only sees sense gratification. He does not see any soul. He sees that only how can I enjoy. So we discussed this in the previous three verses. We will start from verse number 23. So Hare Krishna, Halade Prabhuji, can you take the pronunciation of this verse? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dhanyavad. So this is text number, chapter 18, text number 23. Niyatam sanga rahitam araga dveshata kritam apala prepsuna karma yattat satvikam uchyate. This English phrase almost niyatam sanga rahitam araga dveshata kritam apala prepsuna karma yattat satvikam uchyate. Either way, using as you please, Sanskrit or English phrase. Niyatam sangarahitam raga dvesata kritam apala prepsuna karma yattat satvikam uchyate. Hare Krishna, try it please.
Hare Krishna, Srimati's reading. Niyatam sangarahitam araga dveshatah kritam afala prepshana karma yattat satvikam uchyate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Harshita's reading. Niyatam sangarahitam ragadveshta kritam afala prepsuna karma yattat satvikam uchyate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Niyatam sangarahit dosatah kritam apal karmam yat satvika यत् सद्विकम् कम् उच्यते. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Samarasika speaking. Niyatam sangarahitam ragadveshahatah krutam afala prepsuna karma yattat satvikam uchyate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, this is Ashwini. Niyatam satrahitam arga devastakritam afalas praise afala pusta karma yata tata satvikam uchyate. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण नियतं संगरहितं अद्वेषतः कृतं अफलप्रेप्सुना कर्म यत्तत् सात्विकम् उच्यते. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna. This is Valli. नियतं सङ्गरहितम् अरागद्वेषका अराग नियतं सङ्गरहितमरागद्वेषतः कृतम् अपलः प्रेप्सुना कर्म यत्तत् सात्विकमुच्यते. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna. Would anybody else like to say the verse? Hare Krishna. So the word-to-word meanings for this verse: niyatam, regulated; sangarahitam, without attachment; araga dveshata, without love or hatred; kritam, done; afala prayapshana, by one without desire for fruitive result; karma, action; yes, which; that, satvikam, in the mode of goodness; uchyate, is called. Hare Krishna. Would anybody like to read the translation of this verse?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation by Sri Prabhupada. That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruitive results is said to be in the mode of goodness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Would anybody like to read the purport of this verse?
Hare Krishna, Harshita's reading. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Regulated occupational duties as prescribed in the scriptures in terms of the different orders and divisions of society, performed without attachment or proprietary rights, and therefore without any love or hatred, and performed in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the Supreme, without self-satisfaction and self-gratification, are called actions in the mode of goodness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, in these verses, verse number 23, 24, and 25, we will be discussing the three types of action in the three modes. So, what I understood from this verse, is that action in the mode of goodness is that the effort is regulated by Shastra, and it is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desiring for fruitive results. So we see that to the extent we are attached to this material world, To that extent, we cannot understand transcendental life, which exists beyond the material world of actions and fruits. Thus, we are also repeatedly told to be detached from material fruits. And this is what I understood from this verse. If anybody else has anything to add or to say, or to comment or to share realizations on this verse, they can please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danda Pranam. It's very nice. This reminds me of the Karma Yoga chapter where we read how to different types of karmas and how to be only focused on our part of duty and phalapeksha rahitam. So it is very close to those verses. This is the review of all the previous chapters. So we are coming across one after another. That's what I think. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Would anybody else like to share something or to comment? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So should we move on to the next verse? Next verses? Verse number 24 and 25.
Yes, Mataji.
So Hare Krishna Prabhuji, would you like to take the pronunciations of verse number 24 and 25 together? If that's okay, because they're all really related. It's all work in the mode of the three modes, so that's okay.
Yes, Mataji, I'll do it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Chapter, 18, text number 24. Yettu kamepshuna karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulayasam tadrajasam udaritam or udaritam. Depends how you... In a Sanskrit way, you can read it like a Yattu kamepshuna karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulayasam tadrajasam udaritam. In English way, you can a little bit break down the wordings. Yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulayasam tadrajasam udaritam. Text number 25. Anubandham kshayam hinsam anapeksha cha paurusham mohadarabhyate karma yattat tamasam uchyate. Sanskrit way, you can see it straight. Anubandham kshayam hinsam anapeksha cha paurusham mohadarabhyate karma yattat tamasam uchyate. Hare Krishna, please try it.
Hare Krishna, Sumati is reading. Yattu kamepshuna karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulayasam tadrajasam udahritam. Text number 25. Anubandham shayam himsam anapeksha cha paurusham mohad arabhyate karma yattat tamasam uchyate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Harshita is reading. Yatto kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulayasam tadrajasam udaratam. Text number 25. Anubandham kshayam himsam anapeksha cha paurusham mohad arabhyate karma yattat tamamasamuchyate. Hare Krishna.
यद् कामेषु न कर्म सांगरेण वा पुनः क्रियते बहुलायसं तद्वाजन समुद्रहत् Next text number 25. So अनुबंधं क्षयं हिंसामनपेक्ष च पौरुषं मोहादारभ्यते कर्म यत्तथा मुच्यते हरे हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
यत्तु कामोऽप्सुना कर्म साहङ्कारेण वा पुनः क्रियते बहुलायासं तद्राजसमुदाहृतम्। अनुबन्धं क्षयं हिंसा मनवोक्षय च पौरुषं मोहदारम्भते कर्म यत्तत्तामसमुच्यते। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. यत्तु कामेप्सुना कर्म साहङ्कारेण वा पुनः क्रियते बहुलायासं तत् राजसमुद्राहृतम्. Text number 25. अनुबन्धं क्षयं हिंसां मनपपेक्ष च पौरुषं मोहादारभ्यते कर्म यत्ततामसमुच्यते. हरे कृष्ण.
Ashwini reading text 24. Yattu kame pashuna karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulayasam tad rajasam udaram tad rajasam udattam. Text 25. Anubandham shayam hinsam anupeksha cha paurisham mohodarabhyate karma yatam tasmasam uchyate. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण यत्तु कामेप्सुना कर्म सहङ्कारेण वा पुनः क्रियते बहुलायासं तद्राजसम् उदारितम् अनुबन्धं क्षयं हिंसाम् अनपेक्ष्य च पौरुषं मोहादारभ्यते कर्म यत्तत्तामसम् उच्यते। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Would anybody else like to recite verses? Okay, Hare Krishna. So, moving on to the word for word meanings of these verses. So, text number 24. Yet, that which, do, but, kama ipshuna, by one with desires for fruitive results, karma, work, sa ahankarena, with ego, va, or, punaha, again, kriyate, is performed, bahula ayasam, with great labor, that, rajasam, in the mode of passion, vadahiritam, is said to be. Text number 25, a word for word meanings. Anubandham, a future bondage, shayam, destruction, himsam, and distress to others, anapeksha, without considering the consequences, ja, also, bodhisham, self-sanctioned, mohat, by illusion, arabhyate, is begun, karma, work, yet, which, that, tamasam, in the mode of ignorance, uchyate, is said to be. Hare Krishna, would anybody like to read the translation of text number 24?
I'll do it, Mataji. Hare
Sure,
Krishna.
Mataji.
Translation by Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. But action performed with the great efforts by one seeking to satisfy his desire and enacted from the sense of false ego is called the action in the mode of passion. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Would somebody like to read the translation of text number 25? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That action performed in illusion, in disregard of spiritual injunctions, and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Would somebody like to read the purport of text number 25?
I'll read it. This is Ashwini. One has to give account of one's actions to the state or to the agents of the supreme law called the Yamadatas. Irresponsible work is destructive because it destroys the regulative principles of scriptural injunctions. It is often based on violence and distressing to other living entities. Such irresponsible work is carried out in the light of one's personal experience. This is called illusion, and all such illusory work is a product of the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for reading the purport of this verse. So, when we see in text number 23, we were discussing action in the mode of goodness. So the effort is regulated by Shastra, and it's actually there's no love or hatred or and there's detachment from the results of the work, and there's no love or hatred involved. Now, if we see in text number 24, there is unregulated effort, and there's an overwhelming desire to enjoy. And such people that work in the mode of passion, they cannot give work to anybody because they're afraid of sharing success with others. And then life is only reduced to work because there's no time for relationship, because one keeps on working and working, and then one becomes a workaholic. So, as it said in the translation of this verse by Srila Prabhupada, that but action performed with great effort by seeking to gratify his senses, his desires, and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. So such action takes a lot of effort, and the only desire is to enjoy. So this is action in the mode of passion. And when one works in the mode of passion, then one's spiritual life is neglected, one's relationships are neglected, one's health is neglected, and it's disproportionate. The work done is disproportionate. So this eventually leads to disaster. And why is working in the mode of passion wrong? Because the Gita explains that we are more than our work. We are more than the bodies that just do work. We are the spirit souls. And because we are the spirit souls, we long to love and we want to be loved. So the best way to do this, the best way to fulfill our needs of being loved and wanting to love, is to do bhakti yoga, is to dedicate our time towards Krishna and to transcendental life. Because ultimately, enjoying in material life, enjoying by keeping our material like objects for like gratification, it only gives us like some amount of joy, and even this joy, it takes a lot of effort. So, and it eventually leads to all our other parts of life being neglected. So, bhakti yoga is what spiritual life is really important, and such work in the mode of passion is very destructive. So moving on, this is what I understood from this verse. So moving on to text number 25, and in this translation, Srila Prabhupada writes that action which is performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage, or for violence or distress caused to others, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So we see in that action which is performed in the mode of ignorance, it disregards Shastra, it causes violence, and the people who do action in the mode of ignorance, they delight in causing distress. They're really insecure. So if we take the example of Duryodhana, he was really, really like eager to cause pain to the Pandavas. So and those who function in the mode of ignorance, they cause violence because they cannot see things in the proper perspective. So we are meant for something which is far bigger than the temporary egoistic superiority over someone else. And as Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, is that it is often that work, that such irresponsible work is carried out in the light of one's personal experience. So such work is often whimsical. It's not done which is based on Shastra. One neglects Shastra and one does such work. And this is actually the opposite of the work done in the mode of goodness, because work done in the mode of goodness is performed in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the Supreme without self-satisfaction or self-gratification, as Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport. And such actions are in the mode of goodness. These actions are actually the opposite of actions done in the mode of ignorance, which we see are often whimsical and they disregard scriptural injunctions. And so the people that do work, they're really they have a lot of violence. They do not see things as they are, and such they cause violence. So we're not meant for such things, for causing violence to others, because ultimately that also leads to disaster. And as we see that knowledge in the mode of goodness is seeing all souls on the same, is seeing everybody as they are, as spirit souls. So causing violence isn't really knowledge in the mode of goodness. So this is also not really nice, and we should also try to work in the mode of goodness and have actions in the mode of goodness. So this is what I understood from these verses. Hare Krishna. If anybody else has anything else to add or to share or to correct me or to share their realizations and comment, they may please go ahead. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Would anybody else like to share something or add anything on these verses?
Aladar Prabhuji or Vikas Prabhuji, can you please add on? We are waiting to listen from you, Prabhuji.
It's, I mean, the verses are in that sense simple, but how to internalize is there.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about, verse 23, that for an action to be sattvic, how much it has to be, how many thresholds it has to cross, that it needs to be regulated, as in it should be prescribed duty. So it has to follow Varna and Ashrama. Uh, and then has to be performed in that sense without attachment. So again, in even in varnashrams, even as grahastha, we perform our duty. Whatever actions we perform, they need to be performed as without attachment, so without any expectations in relationship. So we get angry if we do something and it's not acknowledged, etc. All of these things are with that sense of attachment. It needs to be performed without attachment. So that is one further threshold to cross, without love or hatred. So it doesn't have to be out of love or hatred, just a pure sense of duty, and not expecting, whether people like us for it or they do not like us for it. We need to perform that duty. All these thresholds are so strong and so difficult to break, and yet we've learned that whether sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic, the actions are still binding. They create a sense of happiness. They condition us to a sense of happiness and a sense of knowledge. So the way I was reflecting on this is, whether people do, karma, jnana, etc. These are so difficult to overcome. The only thing that actually is missing from the thresholds established in verse 23 is offering the action you perform to Krishna. Yad karoshi yadashnasi. And then that's where it becomes karma yoga. And karma yoga is nothing else. It cannot be achieved without bhakti. It has to be there with bhakti. And that is the supremacy of bhakti yoga. So to me, I was thinking, first I had a question as to how it can be binding. But then I moved to thinking that, this is actually establishing the supremacy of bhakti yoga, because everything else, if it is not with bhakti, then all thresholds have to be met. But if it is performed with bhakti, that hey, I am doing this for Krishna, you don't have to worry about anything else. It's just taken care of. So that is how I was reflecting on how to get past sattvic, tamasic and rajasic actions without getting too complex into it, and why continuously. I mean, you have to understand the reasons, but why continuously Prabhupada stresses that bhakti yoga is the best. You don't have to worry about it. You just, as Prabhupada says, you can, I think somewhere in chapter 5, he said that you could cross an ocean by swimming, or you could simply get on a boat where the captain is capable, and then you don't have to worry about the waves in the ocean, etc. So that's what Bhakti Yoga brings to us. Hare Krishna.
Very well said, Prabhuji. Thank you for taking it. And I have a question. Is the same action considered difference with the change of the asrama? Like Krishna says to Arjuna, killing is okay for Kshatriyas and not for other castes and all that thing, right? So same action, they are talking only about the intention, right? Here, and the what is going on in our mind while doing the action.
Uh, yes and no, Mataji. I mean, it has to be first regulated. So it has to be a prescribed duty. And yes, then the bhav. Because I think, I mean, this is really complex if we try to understand how karma yoga works, right? Krishna has already said that it is very complex. But the way I understand it is, yes, at the end of the day, neither the intelligence with which we work, neither the energy with which we work, neither the body with which we work belongs to us. So, and whatever we are performing action against and changing with that action is also not us. So there is nothing really us. It's all Brahmarpanamastu. So that sense of, who am I here? I am not the doer. I'm just a trigger that is being used by nature to get something done or to not accomplish something, etc. If we perform actions in that sense, so that's what makes the difference. So yes, the only thing we are bringing to this entire equation is our consciousness. So that's why the consciousness is important with which we perform the action. So that's how I understand it, Mataji. And if our consciousness is placed into a sense that creates a sense of attachment, then we actually, move to passion. And similarly, where our consciousness is, may take us to a sense of rajasic action or tamasic action, etc. So that's how I understand it, Mataji. I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Vikas Babaji. Thank you, Ali Mataji, for sharing your realizations on these verses. Hare Krishna, would anybody else like to say something on these verses? Hare Krishna, Halada Prabhuji, Shamarsika Mataji, anything?
I just have one question about statement in the pulpit that one has to give account of one's actions to the state or to the agents of the Supreme Lord called the Yamadutas. So I'm not sure, like, I understand what it's trying to say with this statement. If anybody has any answer related with this one, it'll be a great help. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So, when one has to give one's accounts of one's actions to the state or to the agents of the Supreme Lord called the Yamadutas. So, the thing is, whatever actions we do at the time of death, when our soul is changing our bodies, all we were presented, the Yamadutas they come, and then they know every single like one of our actions, and based on that, we are like based on that action and reactions, we are taken to different planets to enjoy the good karmas or the lower planets to enjoy the bad karmas. And after that, we're given a body based on our desires and our different types of karmas and actions. So, yes. So, for example, when Ajamila was about to die, the Yamadutas they came and they were taking him, and they actually were taking him to hell because he was really sinful and all those life. So the thing is, we think that we don't know that somebody's noticing us, but the Yamadutas or the agents of Lord Yama or the agents of the Supreme Lord, they notice everything and they write that down, and based on that, we are decided where we go on in the next life, and then we are in like we are in like we enjoy our good karmas, and then we have like we have to turn for bad karma. So, if anyone and has anything else to say or anything to correct me for if give a better answer to Ashwini Mataji's question, then they can please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Actually, explained very nicely, Mataji, because whatever karma we do in this life, it is mainly focused on our body and how to get out of this conditioned life, right? So the karma we do, even if we divide into three varieties like goodness, passion, ignorance, all these things, finally, the goal is to eliminate the karma, to make it a balance of zero. Until then, we have to move on to different types of bodies, right? So your explanation is so nice. The main source, the main thought should behind the karma should be what will be the way to get out of this cycle of the life and death, right?
Yeah.
Krishna.
I
It can
think
be said only by
Prabhupada,
Yamadutas. Yeah, no other calculate, because outwards we are different, inwards we are different, what we are thinking is different, what we are doing is different. All these conditions, at that point, even we may think that those are right for us and good to do, and we are in a good mode also. But only the Yamadutas are the deciding factors whether it is correct or not. So that's the main reason of this sentence, I think so. Hare Krishna. Please go ahead, Prabhuji. Thank you.
yeah, I think what I was thinking is on similar lines. Of course, all of us perhaps are at a level where we are definitely not on tamasic mode. Uh, at least majority of the times we are not in tamasic mode. So what Prabhupada is saying may not directly uh, come to our mind, but he's speaking of the state or agents of the Lord, as in the Yamdutas, for the people who are in tamasic mode, because here the actions are that are being talked about are the ones that will create violence or distress to others. So it's not, so that's why we may not immediately think why Prabhupada is talking about state. But for those people, it has to be told that if you perform these kind of actions, forget about the Yamdutas that will come and look at you after the death. These people are on such bodily level that Prabhupada is actually trying to say in the least amount of words that there is the state itself that you have to answer to. So if you perform violent acts, etc., the state, the government and its agents will first give you punishment, and then Yamdutas will come and give you another punishment on top of it. So that's how I understand and appreciate how Prabhupada has thoughtfully put in the purport, the explanation for the verse and its translation. Because it is specifically, this verse is specifically for tamasic people, it has to be highlighted that stealing is bad, creating distress, violence is bad, and it is punishable, and punishable by both the state and then also by the laws of karma. So it's a double whammy, and people should be aware of it, or should sort of stay away from it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Sumati Mataji, Vikasji, and Valiji for this explanation. It's very helpful. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Halada Prabhuji. Anything you would like to share or to add?
No, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Shamarasika Mataji. Anything you would like to share or add?
No, Mataji. Yeah, you gave a nice answer. And Mataji also. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we covered 3 verses today, discussing about actions in 3 modes, and previously we covered knowledge in the 3 modes. So is it okay if we end here? If that's all right for all Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that should be fine, Mataji. Yeah, that's good. Good enough. Yeah. For
Yes,
me,
Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, I think these are from here to next another 10, 15 verses. It's going to be in themes. So it is okay to cover three, 4 shlokas at a time and keep the pace. The subject matter, I think, is a little more simpler. So I'm fine to close the conversation here and continue at the pace you've selected, Mataji. You're doing it appropriately, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we'll end here. Thank you everybody for joining. Hare Krishna. Panchakalpataruscha kripasindhubheva patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Amanantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namaskar Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you everybody for joining. Hare Krishna.
Very nice,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Good job. You done wonderful job.
Sabrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Very
Sumati
nice,
Mataji ki
Sumati
jai.
Mataji.
Harshita
Hare
Mataji ki
Krishna.
jai. Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you all.
Hare
for
Bol.
joining. Hare Krishna.